Welcome to the Grueling Truth MMA show, starring, of course, James Ernest. Along with my guest today is Andrew Tenneson. Andrew, what's the big fight coming up?
Hey, James, how are you?
Doing wonderful.
So the big fight is in Fountain, Colorado, and it's called Rocky Mountain Rubicon 4. It's in Fountain. It's a short drive from Albuquerque, short drive from Pueblo, short drive from Colorado Springs, short drive from Denver. All those people there should come and see me fight.
Nice. So it sounds like you have the ability to get a large crowd there because, like you said, it's centrally located.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. And the coolest thing is that the whole card seems really stacked, and I'm most excited about the co-main event, which is Nick Urso, who, I'm telling you, he's going to be in the UFC. Okay? It's going to happen. He's an amazing fighter. The last time I fought for Rubicon, Landon Veneta was on the card, knocked some guy out, ended up in the UFC, fought Tony Ferguson, fought that one guy, knocked him out with a spinning hook kick in December. So, I mean, these are – Nick and Landon are like best buds. Like, I just watch them from the sidelines, basically, but they're amazing. And the fact that Nick's on the card is enough. The co-main event is enough, not even mentioning that I'm on there, and I'm probably going to win. At least I hope so. That's the plan.
Exactly. I was going to say you got to believe you're going to win. Shoot, otherwise it ain't worth doing the fight. So basically you're saying like this event is kind of like AAA baseball, where you see the stars of the future today. Something like that?
The stars of tomorrow, right? You're going to – because Nick Urso is this year, I'll predict getting in the UFC. And nice. He's going to make a big impression at 125.
Oh, that's awesome. I was going to say, so getting to see the breakout stars ahead of time. So who are you
and
fighting?
Local fighters from Colorado. But I'm fighting a local guy, former wrestler, I believe high school, maybe some college, Jordan Titoni. Seems like a pretty cool guy, has like Star Wars tattoos. Mm-hmm. And, just tough guy. Moves forward, takes people down, chokes them out. Pretty scary. But I've been working against that and working on all aspects of my game, and I feel like I got him figured out. Even if I don't, I'll have to adapt on the fly, and I believe I can do that.
So you would say you're more of a well-rounded performer as opposed to where he kind of more focuses on his wrestling experience?
I think he's fairly well-rounded because he's done kickboxing too. So he's not. I think the days of having like singular specialties is kind of out the window. Everyone knows they need to work on everything. I started as a grappler, and my record kind of reflects that, but I try to be great at everything. I teach at the Jackson's Martial Arts Fitness Academy in Albuquerque, so it was Greg Jackson's system and his gym until he sold it to Isaac Valleyflag, who's a former UFC fighter. His biggest fight was Jay-Z Cavalcante in Strikeforce, and he also fought Domi to a decision, I believe. So he's an amazing coach, and we're teaching people all aspects of MMA, not just one. I'm not just the grappling coach. I'm not just the striking coach. So I feel like being a well-balanced person in the cage and outside the cage, whether it's learning about political science, art, history, whatever, I'm trying to be a Renaissance man.
Sounds like it. You got your political science degree at the University of New Mexico. Is that correct?
Yep, I did. I was in the Army Reserve at the time, and I finished my poli-sci degree after I did one tour in Iraq. Nothing happened. It was boring, which is great. That's the best kind of deployment. Now I'm just doing the fighting and the teaching martial arts. Maybe I'll write one day. Maybe I'll go to law school. I don't know. I just really am following this short-term dream of being a professional fighter. Excellent. And seeing how far I can go with it.
It's good to have an education to fall back on. I mean, obviously you want to take the dream as far as you can, but like you said, you were smart. You did the military thing. Mm-hmm.
I tell all the kids that are like, oh, I want to be an MMA fighter, that they need to go to school. If for anything, they go to school for business or accounting so they can manage their own money. Because they're rolling around with hundreds of thousands of dollars from like a fight of the night or something once they make it to the UFC, where's it going to go? What are they going to do with it? If they just trust someone who is their buddy and who's a yes man, they're going to end up with no money. It's like Rocky 3 or 4, right? Isn't that what happened? Paulie ruined all the money in Rocky 5, I think. It was all gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paulie tended to blow it all. He just, So I see, like you mentioned, the Star Wars thing and, all the different pop culture references, that you are a bit of a geek and a bit of a gamer. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, you interrupted my gaming session. I was playing Destiny right now. Nice. And then I'm going to jump on the computer and have like a small snack because I'm cutting weight. I'm going to play Civilization. And my wife and I, we met at Anime Club at UNM. I mean, I'm really earning my nerd card like multiple different ways. But yeah, it's just, man, life is so much fun if we make it fun and we get outside the box. If we're trying to just be like, I'm going to get a 9 to 5, I'm going to take my kids to soccer practice, I'm going to get fat, I'm going to watch football, and I'm not going to have an imagination. I'm not going to be able to have that childlike wonder. Then what's the point of living? That's how it is for me. I feel like it's always a battle for happiness, and you really want to go all into that battle, and that means being yourself.
Exactly. You're preaching to the choir. I was going to say that's how the whole radio station got started. We were, of course, football coaches. We got into sports, and we're like, you know what, we want to learn more all about aspects of sports. Of course, the boss is obsessed with boxing, and I keep trying to explain to him MMA is the wave of the future, because MMA, of course, incorporates boxing, wrestling, and the martial arts. But he's old, so he isn't stubborn, so he doesn't listen.
Just tell him that it's basically that MMA is like the whole game of football, and boxing is like just passing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. If you had like just a quarterback competition and they were just throwing the ball through hoops, that would be the equivalent of boxing.
Exactly. So you had one heck of a stellar amateur career. Tell us a little bit about that. What played a role in doing so well with the amateur?
Just randomly decided to meet some people at UNM for grappling, and I learned a whole bunch there. Then one of them said, go to Jackson's. I'm like, okay. Just walked in one day. I'm like, I don't know who these people are really. Oh, it's Rashad Evans. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. It's basically you're this kid that picks up basketball at 20, right? And he goes into the Bulls training center just to train.
Wow.
That's basically what happened, because the amateur classes and the pro classes were all in the same gym back then.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, the sport is still so young where that is still a possibility, that you're just, like, around these amazing fighters. Like, Andrei Arlovsky's in the gym now, Jon Jones is in the gym, Cub, Nick Urso, Landon, they're all there. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm barely out of, fighting amateur, but all it was eventually you're just like, I'm training, I need to fight.
Exactly.
Fight some people, get really nervous, smash, or don't smash. I smashed, thankfully, and just keep trying to fight tougher and tougher people. Then eventually you're like, man, I need to get paid for this, because it sucks to cut weight.
Exactly.
And
I can imagine getting experience grappling with the different names you just listed off there. I mean, is probably a huge advantage to be able to learn the game from the best.
Yeah, and it's just like you can just sit down cage side and watch Brandon Gibson or Mike Winklejohn hold pads for people, and you're just picking up so much just by watching that. And then you get people like Frank Lester or Joey Villasenor, who's like a legend in the sport, have them hold for you like they've been holding for me this camp. And I'm just so thankful that I can just learn from them bit by bit. When it comes to my amateur career, though, it was mostly just me fighting on local New Mexico shows. The toughest one, I'd have to say, was the last one, which was Jerry Sano, this really big guy from El Paso. And he knocked out my friend like a few months before, and so it was like it had added extra mental and emotional pressure. But yeah, it felt the same as all my pro fights, to tell you the truth. You're fighting. You're in the cage. No one's – it's longer in the pro fight, and you can do more, like throw elbows, but there's really nothing different.
Excellent. So you started off your pro career fighting the world-famous Tom Cruise. Is he as short in real life as we think he is?
The hilarious thing was that the fighter himself was short. I think he spells with a Z instead. But no, he was a nice guy. Came up from Las Vegas, and I ended up fighting. Now, this is a weird thing. I don't know why, but I always fight in Colorado. I fought 4 of my 5 fights in Colorado, and now I'm going to fight 5 of 6 in Colorado. So for whatever reason, I fought some guy from Las Vegas in Colorado, and I got a cool omoplata with a neck crank thing. It was exciting. It was really cool. But he was nice, and I told myself, motivating, James, you can't lose your MMA debut to Tom Cruise. You'll never be able to live it down for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if it's spelled differently. It doesn't matter if it's a completely different person. Everyone will see that. Tom Cruise beat you. And no, I refuse to lose to Tom Cruise. Even if he's an okay actor, a weird guy, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm not losing.
I was going to say, you mentioned your experiences with Colorado. It seems like it's been very good to you. You rated, 4th in the state?
4th, 6th, 7th. I've lost 1 fight in my whole entire career, and that was to Corey Sandhagen. Or is it Cody? I think it's Corey Sandhagen. But anyway, that was a decision. Supposedly it was in the running for RFA Fight of the Year. I got really close with some submissions sometimes, but he kept on getting to take me down, and my cardio wasn't where I wanted to be. And yeah, he's a great guy, and man, to lose to like an up-and-comer like him, to be able to put on a great show, to not even get hurt. Like when I thought I'd lose a fight by decision, I thought, man, I'd be dead. Like I'd be getting carried out of there. But I was training the next week, so I learned a lot from that fight. Yeah, I learned a lot from that fight, and I won my next one by beating Adam Martinez, his hometown in Pueblo. So yeah, it was really good. And maybe I'll fight Sandhagen again, or maybe I'll go and train with him, or maybe I'll never see him again. Either way, I feel really positive about it and content.
Yeah, I was going to say, you brought up a couple interesting points. You mentioned about several of the fighters that you fought against, that they're nice guys. It seems to be a nice trend with MMA. I've had some experiences going to the Arnold Classic and meeting the different UFC current stars and legends, and like 99% of them can't say nothing but good things about them, So is that kind of a trend? I mean, like the different people you trained with as well? Are most of them pretty down to earth?
I feel like there's a certain amount of ego that you need to fight, but then there's a certain amount of ego that you need to be a good training partner and then just survive training. Because if you just want to beat people up, all you had to do would be an amateur with physical skill, and you'd beat some people up, and then you'd quit and say, yeah, I finished undefeated as an amateur. Yeah, but you didn't put in hard rounds helping your training partners, and your training partners didn't require you to be a boxer today and a wrestler tomorrow to help them get ready for their fights. And when you lose, the kind of person that bounces back from a loss it has a completely different type of ego. One of the things I was thinking about was when Conor McGregor lost to Nate Diaz, he was talking about how he messed up in some things, how he's going to stand back up, be a man about it, be a champion, show people what a champion's about, and it was the complete opposite kind of expression that you got from, say, Ronda Rousey when she lost her fight to Holly Holm, who is another person at our gym who's amazing that I just watch all the time. And it just shows that, like, some people are so they cannot bend, they can only be broken, is what one of my favorite philosophers said. And in MMA, you have to be able to bend, or you'll break. And that's so true for this sport in particular, because it's an individualistic sport. It's not that the team lost and I did my role. It's just that I lost, no matter what.
I mean, that's true and all that. You're right. In the record books, it is an individual sport, but it sounds like, based on what you told me, that teamwork, I mean, helping the other one spar and train is a very important part of the sport of MMA. I mean, it might not go down in the score books, other than that one league where they have like 5-on-5, which just makes no sense and is just god awful. But it does sound like you were saying, the different people that you've worked with have inspired and helped you along the way. Who would you say your biggest influences are?
Oh, my goodness. There's so many people there. There's, like, the coaching staff with Greg and Wink, of course. Their names are on the building. But then there's the lower-level coaching staff, or, like, the second tier, I don't know what you'd want to call them, but Frank Lester, Joey Villasenor, Bart Lujan, Chad Smith, Harry St. Ledger. I mean, these guys are, like, masters of their individualistic crafts and their individual crafts and the whole MMA game and how to implement it in the MMA. And then there's training partners, whether they're amateurs like Chris Brown, another great name, right? But he's going to you think he's going to be the most popular Chris Brown in the world, because I feel like he'll be champion one day. But he's just an amateur, and he's helping pros out, Then you have Holly Holm that's there, and she's just going from one sport to another and becoming champion. You have Celine Haga, who just had a fight in Invicta recently. And she went 1-11 in Japan in her first 10 fights, or 1-9 or something like that. It was a horrible record. They were setting her up against bigger, stronger, better opponents. And she kept training, moved all the way from Norway and then Japan to Albuquerque. And I think she had a fight recently, and they said it was a decision for the other person, but she passed the other chick out. The other woman was unconscious at the end, and I believe she got a fight a night and a win bonus. So really happy for her, and she's a big inspiration. She's the biggest inspiration, one of them, right off the bat, and so is Nick Gonzalez, another fighter. And both of them are such inspirations because they bring such passion and positivity to what they're doing. It's like they talk about having a calling, and they have a calling to do this. And you see it in their eyes, you see it in their expressions, and they're helping everybody. It's great.
So going into the fights, do you have like a strategy of looking for submissions or looking for knockouts based on your opponent, or is it kind of you just go with the flow?
It depends how much you know about your opponent. I won't want to give too much away.
That's understandable.
but it's basically like you have some things that you've worked on that just for yourself as a fighter you knew you needed to work on. Oh, I'm dropping my hand too much when I throw this punch, or I'm not moving enough, or I'm too lackadaisical in a certain situation. You work on those things just for yourself. But then there'll be some things, like you see your opponent's a wrestler. So you're like, okay, what kind of strikes should I do to counter his wrestling? You see that he throws lots of kicks. Okay, which direction should I move based on what kind of kicks he throws? And you just kind of figure out where his best case scenario is. Like for a grappler, that might be getting your back. For a wrestler, Greco-Roman, like let's say Randy Couture, it might be pushing you against the cage. So you work their best place so you can negate it. But other than that, you shouldn't go looking for finishes. You should kind of let them happen.
Makes sense. So you had mentioned outside of the cage, you're a bit of a geek and a gamer. Do you do any sports games, or is it mostly the adventure, role-playing kind of games?
I like shooting things in space, and I like strategy games, and I like adventure role-playing games. Like I'm really excited about Neo, which is a cool samurai game that's coming out soon. But sports games-wise, I used to play Madden all the time. That's how I even understood what football was really. Like you'd watch it as a kid, and like no one was there to explain to me what all the different rules were. Play Madden, I completely understand this game now. And now you're all interested in why they're going with an I formation, why they're going shotgun, or blah, blah, blah. Tried the UFC game a bit. It was fun. That was especially the creative character. You could put in any picture. Because I'm a dork, I put in like a picture of Kermit the Frog. And then I'd have Kermit the Frog as the fighter in the UFC game fighting like George St. Pierre. It was amazing. It was the greatest thing. He had no punches. He just had kicks and rubber guard. It was amazing. But yeah, when it comes to sports games, I just play the UFC game. Sometimes I play Madden, but that's about it. I play racing games, but I don't consider those sports games really.
I know what you mean. Yeah, that one's the UFC was the one I was kind of leaning to see if, should you create yourself, if there's a fighter in particular you like, but yeah, make Kermit. That is.
Yeah, Kermit the Frog and Darth Vader. He was just really this scary-looking guy with face tattoos in the end because, I mean, what happens if you put in a picture of Darth Vader in the character maker? And dreads. We gave him dreads, too. And he was the greatest Muay Thai fighter of all time. Fozzie Bear, though, looked like he was in a fire. It was awful. He looked like a burn victim, and he always went up for knockouts, and he had an incredible chin. So, yeah, that was the best thing. If they, in the next one, I don't know if the new ones come out yet, but I want to be able to create a female fighter, number one, because that was annoying that you couldn't do that. And number two, I still want to create crazy fighters like Ronald McDonald or Kermit the Frog. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, with UFC 3, I can't imagine they wouldn't have female fighters. I mean, they just started doing female fight events where it's just solely women's fight. So I can imagine they are going to probably incorporate that into the game. I mean, that was
they had women fighters last time, but they didn't have a creative character. And because at the time the women's division was really small, you only had so many different options. So real big hope that, they improve that. But it seemed like it had a good community for a while. People were playing online. But, yeah, I don't know. I just like playing with my friends mostly. I don't like competitive gaming. And despite that I'm a competitive fighter, it's like, I can't put in the time that it takes to be really good at a video game, but I can for martial arts.
Well, the nice thing about that, not being overly competitive there is I hear they get pretty intense online.
Oh, yeah. There's these guys that, I don't know how they do it. It's just they're spending all their waking hours. I just imagine them it's like that South Park episode where they were trying to beat this one guy that was amazing at World of Warcraft or some kind of knockoff, and they just got super fat playing this game because that's all they did, and they needed to level up by killing pigs in the forest or something. But yeah, it's just buckets of chicken right next to you, tons of caffeine, and you just play until your hands hurt, and then eventually you'll be good enough to play online and be the best. And it's like, well, great. That was a waste of my life. Yeah, other than, chilling and getting some relaxation and having fun, you can do too much of probably anything. Too much video games, too much martial arts, too much reading, too much TV. You got to balance it.
Well, you mentioned how the gaming's kind of gotten social, and I saw a little bit of your, Twitter, where you've got all kinds of funny photos on there. What would the people that would want to follow you, what would be the best way for our fans to do that?
I think my Instagram is updated the most, and it's the same Tenneson MMA, like the poet, or like Ben 10, but with an E instead of a Y. And yeah, just follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, message me. I'm really cool. I try to message people that follow me. Say, hey, how are you? Thanks for the follow. And if you guys have any martial arts questions or just about anything, then yeah, feel free to send me a message. I really like helping people and like being there as much as I can for the growing fan base that I have. The more I fight in Colorado, the more I fight. Eventually I'll fight on TV again. I feel like that will be really good, that I can bring some positivity to the universe, basically, by not being some random person that's just on TV, but a breathing, thinking, communicating human being with people that seem to cheer for me.
Sounds great. So one more time, tell us a little bit about the big event on February 4th. the fight before your fight, and, of course, your fight.
February 4th, Rocky Mountain Rubicon 4. If you go to cagetix.com, CAGETIX, put my name down, Andrew Tenneson. I'm fighting Jordan Titoni. He's the local fighter. It is going to be good. I cannot imagine this not being a good fight. It seems like both of us like the finish, so I doubt it's going to go to a decision. And it's close to lots of major cities, lots of different places, right on I-25. So hope to see you there. Rubicon 4, February 4th.
Sounds great. Any guesstimate on how many fights are on the card?
Not off the top of my head, but there's definitely going to be around 7 or more.
Okay.
And
so
the tickets are $25. So if you're like you want a cheap date night, that seems like a good idea.
Sounds great. Thank you, Andrew Tenneson, for being on our show, and we look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully, after the big fight and finding out all the good results.
Thanks, James. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a great evening.
You too.